بعلمه وبصره, by his knowledge and his seeing, then this is, every Muslim should understand this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is kamithlihi shay. If Allah loves, and we love too, but Allah love was never like our love. And these different things, then this is for the basic everyday Muslim. But when we talk about question and answers or things that are more detailed in the religion, then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala command us, وَلَا تَقَفُوا مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Don't say what you have no knowledge of. So we should separate the two and make sure that we understand that which is for every Muslim. The layman is included in that. When we talk about the different levels, the levels that require question and answers and things of that nature, then this is for the people that have those skills. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan.
Yeah.
Would you allow me please to narrate this hadith or read it for you? Hadith in the collection of Imam Muslim reported by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا إني نهيت أن أقرأ القرآن راكعا أو ساجدا فأما الركوع فعظموا فيه الرب وأما السجود فاجتهدوا في الدعاء فقمن أن يستجاب لكم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم is saying what the meaning is, indeed I've been prohibited to read the Quran in ruku' or in sujood. As for bowing down, say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, that mean glorify Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As for sujood, try to do more dua because it deserves to be answered. This is the meaning. But as the brothers have told us, that using it as a dua is okay. But reading it, there is a statement, clear statement about not to do this. Jazakumullah khair. Do you have any addition for them? Okay. Questions? Brothers side? Do you have a question? I'm glad to see one of the boys paying attention. When I step outside, I found about 21 of the children. We're talking about the children, and half of the children outside. They play for 3 hours in the cold weather outside, but they could not stay here for half an hour. But alhamdulillah, the Imam went outside and I have to shout and get them in. Go ahead.
What, if a young boy at school, he wants to learn, I would teach him how to do Islam. He said he wanted to turn Muslim. I don't know what to do because his parents, I don't know what his parents will do.
Lord, good question.
All right. Brother need advice from you, brothers. He's about, what, 9 years old? You are 9 years old? How old are you? 12. Okay. And you have somebody about his age and he wants to give him da'wah and the boy wants to be a Muslim. What he can do with him?
You don't know what the parents want.
Right.
We want to see what...
Allah musta'an. This is not as easy as you think, as brothers on the sidebar are saying, what are you going to do, and give it to them, tell them, but we're talking about somebody's life. And when you talk about the issue of the shahada, one of the conditions the person must understand when he's an adult, how about when he's a child? Akhi, barakallahu fikum. Lakin, akhi, there's a serious issue again, as we said, that for the adult, taking shahada is not enough. And we'll give you an example. Somebody wants to take shahada, you tell them, say, La ilaha illallah, they say it, and you ask them back and forth, but then, Allah musta'an, they themselves don't understand when it comes to doing the obligations now that Allah has commanded for the Muslim on the smallest level, they cannot handle it. And that's because in some cases they won't explain properly the obligations and responsibilities that they were going to be responsible for under the shahada for a Muslim. So if that's for an adult, then for sure a child must have good insight and understand what he or she is getting into. As the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man baddala dinahu faqtuluhu." And this is not for terrorist activity, but it's showing that if a person accepts Islam, not like people who, like these groups, they go and make the blood lawful because someone left Islam. But if a person, the point, accepts Islam and they leave Islam, the scholars of hadith explain the reason for this hadith is because the person who leaves Islam after knowing and understanding the reality of Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they in turn are saying that everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed is falsehood. And this is a serious issue. So it's not that easy. You know, we say, as Allah tabarak wa ta'ala commanded, especially Ahl dhikr, and kuntum la ta'alamun, ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. Wallahu alam, I don't know.
هو just if you can just tell
We
him.
can give you the mic, sister, but let us finish, and we can give you the mic. You can talk, but please let us hear. Be patient, please.
Just to tell him about your Islam as your friend. Tell him about Islam, but just to let him convert or that. We have different opinions among the scholars. Imam Shafi'i, we talked about Islam al-Sabi, إن لم يكن مميزا أو لم يكن if he can understand or cannot differentiate between the truth and the falsehood. But just you can tell him about your Islam and about your religion, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for him the hidayah, when he grows up, inshallah, he will revert to Islam, inshallah. But just to tell him as you can, there is no problem. Tell the others, and also let the others know that you are a Muslim and you have different belief. Allah.
Suppose the kid insists he wants to be one. He wants to be one. He insists. He says, I want to be a Muslim. He's telling him, you're not giving him any ammunition.
Okay, I'm not sitting in the table, but if you allow me to talk.
Please, تفضل إن شاء الله.
No, leave it. I got my own mic here. I don't see that both children, by even this non-Muslim law, they are not adult, okay? So they are not going to be held any responsibility in a court or anything. Kids, they do things together, bad or good. So he shares the good, and the child wants to be a Muslim. He wants to say how to be a Muslim. I don't think any harm on the Muslim child to tell him by saying such and such. And regardless, this is still a child. He is not obligated to make the 5-time prayers, or to fast Ramadan, or to do any of these things. So you could not hold this from him because he's scared that the parents or the principal or the school will do this, and you never know. Lay down the seed, you don't know what's tomorrow. Even if the child did not take it serious, it's something will stay with him all his life, that when I was in 8th grade, somebody talked to me about this and that. So I don't see why we're going to tell him, no, don't do this. Don't give him shahada. And Allah knows best. And is this not something that we disagree among ourselves, because there is no clear evidence about the issue, but I see that there is no any burden in any of them to discuss. They discuss everything, okay? They share everything. Even some children showing each other different, what you call segment, or what you call this, a video, or a show from something they hiding in their phone. They're sharing all kind of things. So why are we going to discourage our child to tell a child about Islam, or to tell him how to be a Muslim? Nobody can take him to court. He's not a teacher. He is not trying to convert the students. He has the freedom to talk. So we shouldn't discourage him to tell the people about Islam. And even if the child wants to be a Muslim, tell him this is the way to be a Muslim. Anybody have anything want to ask? Yes, sister?
Can you recite the Quran during witr when you raise your hand during witr?
تسأل عن في دعاء القنوت. هل يمكن لها أن تقرأ القرآن؟
رفع اليدين في الدعاء ولا في قراءة القرآن؟
قراءة القرآن في القنوت.
وذكر رفع يديه.
Go ahead, say it again, sister.
when you raise your hand, can you recite the Quran during witr prayer?
During the dua, she raise her hand or just during the
Can
salah?
she read Quran when
Yeah,
she
dua.
making her witr in qunut? Okay,
Yeah.
say
As we
Quran.
said, just if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the dua in the Quran, there is no problem. But just to recite Al-Quran in the witr, when you raise your hand, what is the benefit of this? There is no benefit from this. Just if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala something from the Quran, from the dua in the Quran, there is no problem, as I said. But just if you recite Al-Quran in the qunut, what is the benefit to recite Al-Quran during your dua? Or to raise your hand. The Prophet ﷺ didn't do this.
good. The Prophet did that.
No, I think like people are confusing. They said, can you read Quran? For example, ruku', nobody's going to make ruku' and then say, Alhamdulillah, Alameen, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Maliki, Yawmiddin. This will be considered just point blank reciting Quran. But if you say, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar, oh Allah, save us and give us the good of this life and the good of the hereafter and save us from the fire. This is Quran because Quran is the speech of Allah. But this also in a category of dua, you're asking Allah something. So likewise, when you're making witr, when you're making witr, you're not going to, when you're making witr, you're not going to, for example, raise your hands and recite Ilafi Quraysh, Ilafi, no. Because this is generally Quran being recited in Qunut, but when you are making dua in Qunut again, and it's from Quran, then this is the exception. So I hope these two issues are clear again, the issue of Quran and what's the dua from the Quran.
Next. Nobody? Sister, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can I,
Go ahead, sister.
can I finalize for that house, inshallah?
I want
You
you
could
to
listen.
throw some light on the spirit and form of ibadat which we do. Importance of spirit. Did you get the question?
No, can you
No,
repeat it
can you
again?
repeat that?
I'm saying there is a form of all the practices or ibadah, and then there is a spirit behind it. So the importance of spirit, because we say you do this in namaz, but the spirit of, what is the spirit behind it? So the focus, can you throw some light on it?
هذا سؤال. الظاهر والباطن والسبيريت والروح والجسم. I didn't hear the whole question, but I think the sister said that each ibadah has a purpose and they have a spirit, okay? And what is the spirit behind
Importance of spirit.
the importance of the spirit of the ibadah that you're doing, not the ibadah itself? خلي الميكروفون على الطاولة.
You can just, you mean by the spirit, the feeling?
Yes, the spirit behind it, the feeling behind it, yes.
It's
Goes to the form.
Okay.
So,
If you mean spirit or feeling, it's better to say the feeling or what you should get out of it spiritually, because us in America coming from a Christian background such as myself, the spirit behind it means something totally different from what you might mean coming out of Christianity and some of these other different backgrounds. So if you mean what are you supposed to get out of it, or what is the physical spirituality, or what do you feel, then Allahumma musta'an. This is an issue that requires studying, understanding. And some Muslims, they think when you talk about Quran, for example, you only read the Quran to get ajr, to get some type of reward, tabarak wa ta'ala. But in fact, the Quran is for tadabbur as well, to ponder upon and reflect. And if you find people combining between the two, seeking the reward for what they read and having some type of internal effect, then inshallah you will find good benefits and good fruits from this type of dua or whatever you read from the book of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And Allah didn't send anything in vain, rather it's for that which purifies the person from all of the different type of illnesses, spiritual illnesses and physical as well. And if you find the person void of that, then the person needs to go back and to examine that which they were doing, inshallah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and to reflect upon the signs of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and to take the time to study and reflect upon the verses and the dua that they ask Allah as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Inshallah, first concerning this keep repeating to recite Quran in the dua, and also they say the spirit involved for the dua. Is this just make simple? Don't try to drag too many things you cannot hear. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it easy for us. Just follow that, because the condition of the ibadah to be accepted is two. Number one, ikhlasu lillah. Number two, mutaba'atu rasul. These are two conditions you have to abide with. Number one, to be sincere. That's where you come and pick it up, oh, there's a spirit or whatever you call it, just put it behind it. To be sincere with Allah. When you ask Him, you ask sincere, ask Allah, you know that Allah will deliver to you. Don't try to say that thing, say, let me try to ask Allah. Don't try to ask Allah, ask Allah. That's number one. Two, also, apply Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam what he did. Be satisfied with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam bring, because you will never find it the best more than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It doesn't matter who say, it doesn't matter how degree you have, it doesn't matter what they're going to say, have many words, wallahi, you never come closer, clean, and they beautify like what Prophet Muhammad did. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not recite the Quran in a witr. Why you want to recite the Quran in the witr? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam
In kunut, not in witr.
in kunut. He didn't recite it. Why you recite it for? There is a dua, you have many problems. It's just address, like I do say, pick up your sincerity, focus, and all of you in front of Allah say, Allah, I'm here, just please help me in my stuff. But you don't have to recite Quran, because ibadah, when the Prophet Muhammad told us you read Quran only, you stand in the qiyam. That's the place for the Quran. Why you put a place for dua, you switch with the Quran? It is not the way it should be. Be satisfied what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought it, and then do it as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu do it, you will never go wrong. But if you start to pick from people, you will sink. That's all I can say. Barakallah.
I was making comment for that child trying to propagate about Islam about his classmates or something. We know that he's in public school and the secularism. It's a secular school. He cannot propagate Islam. He could suggest to that child to follow and to try to practice Islam and try to bring to his attention. But if the principal or the staff of the school, they found out that you propagate Islam, you put the person in trouble, because it's a secular school.
Akhi, it's a child. It's 9 years old.
A child, he could suggest that if the parents they
This
know,
okay, fine.
you put that in trouble, the Muslim, and you say, okay, you cannot propagate Islam, and you're not, and then maybe they block him, and then they kick him out of the school.
But this might not take place at school. They could be playing in the playground, they could be playing sports or something.
But
place else.
they will find out from the parents of that the other child that there is the
They're a
effect,
child.
the influence. Influence.
Questions? Any questions, comments, concern, question? Sisters, we still have 10, we have 12 minutes more. Yes, Sister Sophia? Excuse me, Sister Sophia?
Yeah, the question is, how many times after people make dua, is it
Excuse me?
wrong to wipe your face?
Okay.
Your hands?
What is the face after dua?
There's a difference of opinion between the A'immat al-Arba'ah, the four imams with this issue. And to be straight, there are some reports that the Prophet ﷺ used to wipe his face after the salah. And some of them show that he wiped more than his face, he wiped the whole entire body. for those people that read Arabic, you can find Imam al-Albani, he mentioned them, and Irwan al-Dalil, the explanation of Manar al-Sabil, and they are fabricated on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we understand that the Prophet said, يعني ليس كذب علي ككذب على أحد كما كذب علي متعمدا فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. Lying on me is not like lying on anyone else. So whoever lies on me, then let him take his seat that's already waiting for him in the fire. So we understand that people narrate these things because they believe that it's encouraging someone to do good. And some they wipe, they say, I'm getting the blessing on my face. But we don't find the Prophet ﷺ and what's reported from him that's verified that he did it, nor the Sahaba. So the answer correctly, yes, you do find it in books, but everybody understands that this is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, those who follow the way strictly in accordance to what the Prophet ﷺ left. So do not wipe your face after Salat, wiping, making dua. There are certain times that you wipe, such as when a person is going to go to bed after reading or when a person is sick. But as far as after Salat, there are no authentic hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam approving this, so don't do it, inshallah wa ta'ala.
After your permission, everybody, part 2 of the sister question was or supposed to be, did the Prophet ﷺ make dua after every obligatory prayer?
Barakallahu feekum.
Wa fika barak.
The answer is no. The Prophet ﷺ did not make dua after every prayer. And some of the ulama of the past and contemporary scholars that stick to the way of the Prophet and the way of the Sahaba they mention إِذَا كَانَ حَاجَةً, if there's a severe need, because the origin of dua is unrestricted. However, you have made salat, and in that salat is dua. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. All the way to إِهْدِنَا الصِّرَاطَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. This is sufficient for the one who has a need. And if you find a pressing need, then inshallah wa ta'ala, as we have mentioned, you can increase that, asking Allah in sujood, asking Allah wa ta'ala, and the spot and the position that you prostrate is most closest to Allah wa ta'ala for the servant to draw near. So it is better to follow the way of the Prophet and not to invent, not to follow the ways of those people, and that you stop haythu waqaf al-qawm, you stop with the people before you, the Sahaba, Tabi'in, and the Itba' Tabi'in, the first generation stop. Wallahu musta'an. Jazakumullah khairan.
Imam Abdullah. Addition, deletion,
yes.
information.
Okay, for the dua, maybe can say that the Prophet Muhammad sallam, he raised the hand by making dua after the salah. I think because if you say the dua, there is hadith that Prophet Muhammad sallam, he tell one of the companions, say that Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatika. This is a dua. If you say the dua after the salah, yes, there is a dua. But is every place Prophet Muhammad sallam, when he make a dua, he raise the hand? That's maybe the question that can answer that area. It's not every dua that you have to raise the hand. But most of the place, there is a many hadith that Prophet Muhammad raised the hand. But there is no hadith authentic that Prophet Muhammad sallam, after the mandatory prayer, he raised what? He raised the hand to make a dua. I think keep that way very simple. As long as you raise the hand, you don't need to. Just make it easy for yourself. But if you're for dua, maybe say, Allahumma a'inna ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatika. This is a dua. And also if you recite Surah Al-Fatiha, ihdina surat al-mustaqim. This is a dua. When you sit between the two sit, you say, Rabbi ghfirli. This is a dua. But if you raise the hand, no. So how you conduct yourself, just be satisfied, like I said, be satisfied what Prophet Muhammad sallam did. Now, if I don't know, just ask the person who tells you where did you get it. If the hadith of the Bukhari and the Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, that's the first book. I mean, when you get the hadith over there, then I have the first, the first intuition that it may be correct. So tell them, ask you the number, and show you the hadith, and then do your part. We're Muslim, we are not imma. We are not people who just, when they go, I go. When they say no. Because this is about the ibadah. It's about what you will be hold accountability. You have to be serious. Because when you go to work, you clock in and you clock out, you check your hours, you check your job, you check your production, and you make sure if the job is okay. The same thing with the ibadah. So why somebody come tell you do this and you do it without even asking? No, you have to investigate. You have to take your time and ask. Allahu A'lam.
9 minutes left and 20 seconds, Brother Islam.
Can a woman travel another town to attend the Islamic convention, or can they go stay in a dorm to pursue college degree?
You mean that without mahram? This is what you mean? To attend a convention or a conference?
Number one. Number two is they stay in a dorm, university dorm, to pursue a college degree.
Yeah, okay. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Just to say what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if the woman just goes to a conference or anything, even the masjid, without permission for her husband, this is haram. And also to go anywhere without a mahram, even al-Hajj, some scholars they said about al-Hajj also it is not right. She committed the sin if she did. But just for a Hajj, the scholars they said if she has like a good company and she old lady and they can, some scholars they said this, and they can protect her, she can go with them. But if she has no mahram and has no good company to go to Hajj, she cannot go. For the education, we have different opinions about this and many discussions that this is a benefit for the women, but just the person, in this case, he is the mufti for himself. If you send your daughter or you send your wife to just to get a PhD or to get a college and so, and you can't go with her, and just you scare about her, you fear about her, if it is, you are in a risk area, and also I think this is not right. Wallahu a'lam.
Now, the issue of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahih Muslim and others, where he mentioned, لا تسافر المرأة إلا بالمحرم, that a woman shouldn't travel without a mahram. And mahram means somebody who's relative to her, that is a legal guardian. It doesn't mean like the man of the masjid, because we have this issue in America. People are made wakil to help persons get married, but this is not mahram. He cannot be alone with her. He cannot travel with her. So it means they are relatives, by blood. They are relatives, and that it is no harm for him to be around with her. So the Prophet mentions in the hadith, and some ulama they mentioned the other hadith where he said yom walayl, that the woman shouldn't travel a day and a night without a mahram. Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah, he mentioned as a position that the hadith specifies the time and not the distance. So for example, for Hajj, a person is going to be gone for more than a day and a night, so this will violate that lady if she traveled alone. Where she had to travel the next state over or the next place, or even somewhere outside the United States, and she's not going to be gone a day and a night. Some of the contemporaries say this is okay because the issue is the time and not the distance. And as far as the issue of Hajj, then Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah is one of the people that said that she can travel for Hajj with a lady or a group of ladies, but we find this in opposition to the Prophet ﷺ, so they should not travel like this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
The second part of this question, do you mind to say something about it in 20 seconds?
It shouldn't be in the dormitory. This is in opposition to the book of Allah wa ta'ala. As the Sheikh Mustafa mentioned the dogs earlier, they should stay in their homes unless it's a hajj. And this is not what's considered a sheer need to be in the dormitory or even for education. In this regard, there are things online, there are other ways. It shouldn't be like this, as this is not from haya, this is not from modesty and iman for the woman to be in the dormitory with other women and so forth and away from the home. Allahu a'lam.
Abdullah, you want to add something? Jazakallah khairan. Saleh?
May I ask a question, please?
Saleh, you have something?
I want to make a comment about what the brother had.
Okay, go ahead.
There's very few young people who want to give dawah, and we shouldn't discourage them by making them scared to give it. You feel me? If they want to give dawah,
okay,
then why would you make them scared and tell them they may get in trouble when Allah protect them if they're doing it for the right reason?
Alhamdulillah.
They're not going to go to jail or get investigated.
But I'm not going to take and we'll start
But
everybody.
don't give them their shahada,
Yes.
I'm saying just teach them everything that you know.
Okay.
And they'll take the shahada later.
I like your green soap with the matching shirt. Sister who? Sakina, go ahead. No, Sister Sophia, you're taking the whole floor today. $50. No. Let the people ask for themselves. There is other sister didn't ask before. Anybody else?